go. Come here, honey. We just got our new book today, Rachael's Splendifilous Adventure. And it's September 25th, 1991. And we just got our book today, and we have never read it before. And we're going to read it right now. Right, honey? Uh-oh, where's my glasses? Did I leave my glasses? Well, maybe I can read without it. Maybe I do need to know. Let me go get my glasses, okay? Okay. Let me shut this off. Here we go. Up here. You excited about this new book? Yeah. Rachael's Splendifilous Adventure. Ready?
Yeah.
This is a story of a little girl with a big imagination. She had a remarkable adventure that happened in a special dream. Rachael loved being with her artist father. His studio was in a bright red railroad caboose. Behind the caboose grew a tall oak tree with huge limbs and branches. Hidden behind the high grass and leafy foliage was a cool, shallow creek. Alligator Creek, huh? During the warm Florida days, Rachael played with Captain Sandy, her teddy bear. Her father worked at his easel with his paints. Squirrels ran in the tall grass and played hide and seek. Overhead, a white egret flew to a nearby pond. Nearly every day, Rachael and her dad ate cucumber sandwiches and drank orange juice for lunch. The juice left a bright orange mark on Rachael's upper lip. Then Rachael and her father and Captain Sandy would lie in a hammock for a rest.
Look at the corner.
Rachael and her father would look up to find imaginary shapes in the clouds that drifted slowly overhead. One day, Rachael had a dream. In her dream, Captain Sandy told her everything about bears. He talked about cub bears, black bears, panda bears, polar bears, koala bears, and even Russian bears, especially Russian bears. Then the captain had what he called a splendiferous idea. He said, let's journey by hot air balloon to visit my cousin Anatoly. He's a Russian bear who performs with the Russian state circus in the capital of Moscow. That's far away.
Yeah, we'll go there.
Just then, the giant oak tree over the railroad caboose turned into a bright green balloon. The red caboose became the gondola. Inside the caboose was a small wood stove. Captain Sandy built a fire. The heat rose through the crooked tin chimney. Soon the balloon filled with hot air. Captain Sandy said, Rachael, gather some charts and maps so we don't get lost. Who's that?
Me?
Yeah. He added, and you'd better pack a straw basket full of peanut butter muffins, ginger biscuits, and apple crisp on a stick. Mint iced tea.
So I did.
So you did. Mint iced tea for warm days would be nice. Russian hot chocolate, too. It gets cold high above the clouds. Soon they were ready to lift off. Just as Captain Sandy checked the rope holding the balloon to the ground, Harley the woodpecker zipped past the teddy bear's head. Just where do you think you're going with my house? In case you don't know it, that's my tree you're flying off with. Captain Sandy ducked and bobbed to avoid the angry dive-bombing bird.
That was a whip.
Would you please relax, Harley? Rachael and I are going on a trip to Russia. Your tree is safe with us. Would you like to come along? Why would you want to go to Russia? If you ask me, you should have your picnic here in America. Harley looked inside the picnic basket. Besides, I can't eat anything you packed. Where are the bugs and grubs? They eat bugs, don't they? As the balloon rose gently from the ground, Captain Sandy said, come along, I think many surprises will await us. The balloon looked like a giant Christmas tree ornament as it lifted slowly above the trees. Rachael was sad to leave her father, but he waved and called to her, have a good time. house had turned into a balloon and was leaving without him. The winds carried the emerald balloon gently toward the east. Over Florida's Cape Canaveral, a space shuttle launch caused the balloon to toss from side to side. Whoosh! It scared Rachel and Captain Sandy for a moment as it passed close by. The rocket disappeared out over the Atlantic Ocean, leaving only a trail of white smoke behind. Moments later, the shuttle looked like a bright white star low in the day sky. Captain Sandy winked at Rachel and said, "Maybe we should make a wish." Hours slipped by and the little girl and Teddy Bear continued to sail on their adventure of peace and discovery. Gentle breezes carried the voyagers beyond the sighted land. All around they could see nothing except the vast blue Atlantic. "It's very cold flying in the clouds," Captain Sandy said. "It's time for hot chocolate, don't you think?" As Captain Sandy and Rachel sipped from their steaming mugs, a tapping noise came from outside the balloon. "Rachel, did you hear that noise?" Rachel tipped her head for a better listen. Tap, 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 tap. There it was again. With a trembling voice, Rachel whispered, "It's that crazy woodpecker, Captain. He's pecking a hole in the balloon." "This is serious," bellowed the bear as he scrambled up to the roof of the caboose. "Harley, stop it right now. You're going to put us down in the middle of the ocean." "Don't worry, Captain. I'm only eating bugs. I know the difference between bugs and balloons." Irritated, the captain threatened the woodpecker with a slingshot, but Harley continued pecking for food. "This is your last warning, Harley." Then the captain fired a king-sized walnut at the woodpecker. His aim was poor, and the nut ricocheted off a branch and punctured the balloon. Oh no. Hot air hissed out of the hole. Soon the balloon was plunging toward the ocean below. "Oh no," groaned the captain. "We're in trouble now. We're going down, and no one will know what has happened to us." "Well, Fumble Bear," said Harley, "I can go for help, but by the time I get back, you and Rachel will be in the waves." "It's worth a try," the captain replied. Harley flew off for help. Seconds later, the woodpecker was back. There he is. "Look, Captain, you see those big dark things swimming below? They're not all whales, they're Russian submarines down there, too." Harley zipped back to the submarine and with his beak pecked out an SOS against the hull. Brap, brappity, brap, brap. Hatches flew open and Russian sailors raced out. Moments later, the balloon landed on the submarine's deck with a loud thump. When they saw the damaged balloon, the Russians pitched in to help with repairs. After the hole had been fixed, goodbyes were said, and the little friends once again took to the air. As Rachel waved farewell to the sailors below, she said to Sandy, "What nice people the Russians seem to be. I can hardly wait to land in Moscow." The excitement of the unexpected landing on the submarine left Captain Sandy very tired. He crawled into a corner bunk. Soon he was fast asleep. He snored loudly as the green balloon floated steadily toward the coastline of Europe. From a French village below, a magnificent butterfly air danced through the open window. It explored the caboose and then, to Rachel's surprise, landed on the tip of Sandy's nose. Sandy's heavy breathing caused the butterfly's large wings to flutter furiously. The colorful creature hung on for dear life. Rachel found that all very interesting. Through Europe. Sandy finished his nap just in time to see a large chateau in the French countryside below. He scurried to the gondola's roof for a better look. It was hard for him to believe anyone actually lived in such a big place. Already knowing the answer, he asked Rachel, Who do you think lives in such a large house? Rachel replied, people just like you and me, I bet. They journeyed, their journey continued over Switzerland's towering peaks, deep snowy valleys, shadowed granite canyons. Harley circled the gondola for a better look.
Honestly.
Does it look scary?
Mm-hmm.
Sometime later, as the balloon drifted above the green countryside.
That's good.
It's Lauren, yeah. Sometime later, as the balloon drifted above the green country meadows of Germany, a group of children picnicking near an old wall caught Harley's eye. They decided to investigate. The woodpecker swooped down and asked the children about the dilapidated wall. The children laughed, danced, and clapped their hands. They called Harley Herr Woodpecker, that's a German word. They told him that the wall had once separated their countries and families. Now the Berlin Wall, as it was called, has been torn down and is no longer guarded by soldiers in high concrete towers. People are now able to visit their friends and relatives they have not seen in many years. Not long after, Rachel and Captain were gazing down on the vast rolling plains. Sandy spoke up. That's the Ukraine. This region is so fertile it grows most of the food for all of Russia. And Russia is the largest country in the world. It's nearly 2.5 times as big as the United States.
That guy up there, well, he likes to follow that one down.
The airship gently swept over the thick woodlands. I'm excited, whispered the bear. Can you see the city, Rachel? And the forest? The little girl leaned over the railing for a better look. It's Moscow, sang the captain. The trees gave way to the dazzling beauty of St. Basil's Cathedral, shimmering against the ancient walls of the Kremlin. The church's 400-year-old domes loomed above Red Square. The giant balloon began its slow descent to the cobblestones. People came running, eager to help with the handling of the ropes. Children giggled at the sight of the little girl and the teddy bear piloting the balloon. And there among the people was Cousin Anatoly, dressed in his circus costume. Under his arm he carried a musical instrument called the balalaika. After the balloon was safely tethered, Captain Sandy and Cousin Anatoly ran laughing toward each other, arms wide. Like two happy cubs in the wild, they exchanged big bear hugs.
Big baby.
Anatoly, these are my very dear friends from America, said the captain. Let me introduce you to Rachel and say hello to Harley. He decided to come along at the last minute. We sort of flew away with his tree. Harley was balanced on Rachel's shoulder. By now he had decided to make the best of a bad situation. In his best manners, the woodpecker said, glad to meet you, I think. Anatoly took Rachel's hand in his paw and bowed. I am so pleased to meet both of you. Cousin Sandy has told me so much about you, she said. Are you ready to see some of the sights? Anatoly asked. The people here in Moscow are friendly and warm-hearted. They love this old city and they are proud of it. Welcome, they say, to all the world. When you visit Moscow, you're the guest of the Russian people. Rachel, Captain Sandy, and Cousin Anatoly set off hand in hand to explore the Kremlin. Crossing Red Square in the sunlight, they headed toward the main gate. Anatoly pointed out that the walls were 21 feet thick in some places and had taken 10 years to build. The threesome was followed by the straggling woodpecker. Living about in all directions, Harley mumbled something about he was hungry. Within the Kremlin walls, they discovered the Tsar Bell, which rests on a platform at the base of Ivan the Great's bell tower. The tower is said to mark the very center of the Kremlin, Anatoly sits where it fell and broke after a big fire 2 centuries ago. 200-ton bell with its 11-ton ship reflects the grand style enjoyed by Russian rulers hundreds of years ago, he added.
What did he say?
He said, the hole looks like a doorway, said Sandy. I bet a whole family could live in that bell. Further on, the visitors admired a huge ornate cannon called the Tsar cannon. It was built to shoot an iron ball weighing as much as 2 small cars. The cannon weighs 38 tons and is 17 feet long. It was made about the same time as the Tsar bell. Like the giant bell which never rang, the Tsar cannon never fired, Anatoly told his listeners. Gee, exclaimed Rachel, just imagine the cannon and bell have been sitting here since before America had its first birthday. They left Harley teetering on the end of the cannon. He stared into the long barrel. Boy, it sure is dark down there, he uttered. Boy, it sure is dark down there.
The bird sang?
His voice came back to him in a deep echo. Startled, he flew away to join the others. He was glad to get away from that gloomy old gun. The 2 bears, the little girl, and the woodpecker came to the Annunciation Cathedral with its beautiful gold domes. A flock of crows caught Harley's eye. They seemed to find it a favorite place to play. Harley swooped down and asked Anatoly to tell him about these birds. Anatoly had many stories to tell about the crows. In wintertime, they gather on the largest dome in the cathedral. They slide down the icy dome on their feathered backsides, then sail off like little black bobsleds into the air.
I'm jealous.
In summertime, the crows entertain themselves differently. Look at that one, Anatoly bellowed with a Frankish bird. Look at that one, Anatoly bellowed, as a Frankish bird dropped a pebble down the cathedral rain spout. The crow then flew to the ground and listened as the stone bounced and banged at the bottom. Anatoly turned and told Harley, sometimes the crows spend hours amusing themselves at this caper. You really can't expect much more from the crows, mumbled Harley. Spinning on his heels, Anatoly announced, all right, my friends, the next stop is the circus. Let's hurry, we don't want to be late. They hurried onto the circus. Rachel and the captain took ringside seats. Harley perched on the captain's shoulders. They sat beside an old lady who looked like Mother Russia herself. Her round face was pink with good health. The wrinkles around her eyes told of her hard but happy life. Her name was Mila.
She's in here.
Suddenly the crowd jumped up cheering. The circus had begun. Anatoly appeared in the spotlight. Behind him were uniformed Cossacks who danced to the happy music played by the band. The dancers wore fur hats and shiny black boots that flashed in the lights. For Anatoly's next act, he sat on top of an elephant that balanced on his trunk, while his hind legs pointed high in the air. The spotlight narrowed on Anatoly as he began to strum the balalaika. This song is for children everywhere, he called to Rachel. The crowd grew silent and he began to sing. All the children of the world are like flowers in a garden, a rainbow of boys and girls to be loved and not forgotten.
What's this?
Anatoly's song pleased the audience and gave them something nice to think about. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Anatoly invited the captain to join him in the next act. Sandy was frightened but trusted his cousin. He knew balancing in a chair high above with galloping horses would be very different from floating quietly in a balloon. Then there was a nervous look on Sandy's face. Nevertheless, he joined the excitement and made the high climb to the chair. The horses galloped around the ring several times.
It's not the it.
Yeah, it is. See? Now we're on the next page. The horses galloped around the ring several times. For the grand finale, Anatoly tossed the chair and the little bear high above his head. Sandy somersaulted in the air and landed gracefully in front of Rachael. Anatoly's encouragement had helped Sandy perform a most difficult act.
She gave me it.
With Teddy Bear's heart pounding with excitement, he took a very low and graceful bow as the crowd cheered his accomplishment. Neela turned to Rachael and said, "My, those two comrades certainly trust each other." "Oh, yes," Rachael said, "just as Captain Sandy and I have learned to trust each other through all of today's adventures." "Don't you think Anatoly has shown Sandy something very important?" Rachael asked. "Yes," replied Neela. "With encouragement, Anatoly has shown Sandy he has a talent he was not aware of. We all have talents, but until they are developed, they stay hidden within us." The star-struck Sandy rejoined Neela and Rachael, who had become good friends. "You are so pretty, much like my granddaughter," Neela said. Rachael blushed and thanked the kindly old woman. "Are you an American?" Neela went on. "Even though there are differences in our countries, people are all really the same. We are all the flowers of one garden." Neela pulled something from her bag. It was a toy with brightly painted flowers on it. She called it a matrushka. Rachael saw it was a hollow wooden doll with other smaller hollow dolls inside, like a beautiful puzzle. "You see, the dolls are different," Neela said. Neela told Rachael with a gentle smile, "but look at them closely. They are all the same, just like all of us." Rachael thanked Neela for the wonderful gift, and they exchanged addresses, writing on the back of Captain Sandy's fancy calling cards. "Now we can write to each other," said Rachael. As one circus act followed another, Rachael grew drowsy and would sleep. What a long, exciting day. The close call with the space shuttle, an encounter with the Russian submarines, flying over the Berlin Wall, the tour of the Kremlin, meeting Neela, and now the excitement of the Moscow circus. It had been a very big day. Rachel's bright eyes grew heavy, and her head nodded softly against Neela's shoulder. The little girl fell asleep with the day's events spinning in her head. "Wake up, Rachael," her father whispered. He gently rocked the hammock. Rachael sat up slowly and with a sleepy look in her eyes. "Would you and Captain care to join me for a glass of mint iced tea? It's a hot day." Without waiting for an answer, her father walked toward the studio. Over his shoulder, he called to Rachael, "Where did the beautiful matrushka come from?" Rachael pulled